Deborah from House of Eclectic here. I'm here today with my husband under duress. He doesn't want to be here. I always make him be here when he has Mondays off at work, and it's like his least favorite thing ever, but he's a good boy, so he comes. So today we are talking about ways to preserve your family memories. He's going to talk about more of like the electronic side of it, like how to digitize, that kind of thing. And I'm going to talk more about like kind of the crafty side of other ways that I have preserved our memories. So we will kind of go back and forth a little bit, because if I let him talk and then just start doing my thing, he might leave. So I'm going to, go back and forth so he has to stay. Let me go ahead and get a few shares in, and then we will get going. So, today we are kind of going to talk about ways we've memorialized trips. Is that the right memorialized?
Sounds like they died.
I know, right? It's like, that doesn't sound right.
But to preserve the memories from the trips that you go on.
So, and then the way we've preserved like our day-to-day memories, and then like special events. And then he's also going to talk a little bit about the way you can preserve your kids' artwork. Because I don't know about you, but my kids draw a lot. And I feel like I can't keep, I don't ever want them to see me throw away their drawings and things like that. But I literally can't keep the stacks and stacks and stacks of paper that, they, accumulate. So, also things like spelling tests and other things like that, like our daughter just, on her first spelling test of the school year this year, she just got 100% on it. She's really proud, and it's on my fridge right now, but it can't be on my fridge forever, that kind of thing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Sorry guys, I'm struggling to find the video. Where are we? It says we are live right now, so I know the video exists. Aha! There we are. I see our lovely faces. So we are coming to you from the Salt Lake City area. That's usually what we're probably about 45 minutes south of that, but that's usually what people know is Salt Lake City. So when you hop on, let me know and we will get started. Sorry it took me a minute to find the video. It's hiding today. Well, that is not look where it froze on my face.
Nice freeze.
It's not an attractive freeze on my face there, guys. So, do you want to get started and talk about just your general backup photos, how you make sure the photos from your phone and everything like that are safe and everything like that?
So, it's probably no shock to you that things have changed a lot in recent years of how we preserve our memories. We used to have to carry around big cameras or the annoying point and shoots, and you take a ton of pictures, and then you'd have to think, gosh, do I really want to print out this roll of film, or you forget that you had the roll of film, and it's just all expensive. Well, now we have the exact opposite problem of we have too many pictures out there. We take pictures of anything and everything, and that can be hard to preserve too, because you're running out of space. And the primary device we use to take our pictures now, of course, is our phones. So trying to figure out a way to back up all that stuff from your phone can be tough, especially if you don't want to fork over a ton of dough. The good thing is there are a lot of good free options out there, and my favorite is Google Photos. I'm a big Google user, and Google Photos backs up an unlimited amount of photos for you for free. It's pretty incredible.
I don't think I realized that it was unlimited.
Yeah, it's unlimited. That is based on a certain file size. So for your general phone, unless your phone's super high powered and it probably does. I mean, the easiest way to get around that, at least on the iPhone, I'm not sure about Android, is you can go into the settings and you can turn off, I think it's your cellular settings, and you can turn off data for that specific app. So even if you did happen to be on a data connection, it wouldn't work anyway. But yeah, it's a super handy way to back up, and so it just automatically syncs it. But once you have it synced to your account, what you can then do is start to group things together. So by default, more of a low-key day, and then it's just easy to get into that habit of doing. And it doesn't take long. Or you can do it just when you're stuck at you're at a doctor's office and you're waiting, if they've got Wi-Fi or something that you can organize, and just find the time that works well for you and build it out. And it's faster to do on your phone than I think on the computer, although you can access it on your computer too, which is really nice. you can just quickly tap all the different pictures you want and then add them to an album that easy. But speaking of computer, that is a cool thing, is you can access all your photos on computers as well. And so then you find the picture you want, and you're like, oh, I really want to download that. Great, just download it right to your computer. It's that easy. You can actually download multiple pictures at once, and they don't even have to be in the same album. You can just click all of them, click download, and then it will package them all together in a zip file. So great resource if you want to find something free.
So I'm sorry, I'm just looking. Josh, we are talking about, actually we're just talking about Google Photos right now. So Josh says it's freezing. I hope it's not freezing for you anymore. But sorry that took me a minute to be able to find where your guys' comments were and everything. But I've got you pulled up, so if you guys have questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments and we will get them answered for you. So I'm going to talk about, so he just talked about one of the apps that we used to organize our family. And like he said, we have a ton of photos. I filled up 2 terabytes worth of photos. And so now I have a little hard drive that's 4 terabytes that I carry around with me that has everything on it, because I can only keep so much on my computer now. But so for us, one of the biggest things that I do is, these are some of our photo books that we have done. So every year I do a general photo book for the year. So this is the year we got married, 2006. So it just goes through and it just does a basic thing. Like there we go. There's our wedding. Like the basic things that happened that year. And then we used to burn everything onto a DVD and then put it in the back of the book. I take way too many pictures for that to work now. But, so it's a good way for our kids to kind of get an overview of the year, which is really fun. They, like this is when our daughter was born, this is when we graduated college, like that kind of thing. So they get a nice overview. I don't think this is practical to use as like documenting the like daily things, but it's more practical for like a year overview. So some of them, like this one, I turned into 2 books because it was cheaper to do it that way. But that's one of our, I've done it every year since we've gotten married. And then I also did one for, I think, your college years and stuff like that when you were in California. He did a service mission in California for a couple of years. So I did one for that and, some other things like that. So that's always a good general thing to have.
So when making those photo books, something that's helpful to do is, like she said, not do the day-to-day, but group things together, kind of find the thematic things that happen. So if you do through the whole year, if you think back on it, there's going to be just a handful of things that really stand out. We'll pick that out, and pick around holidays is another easy way.
So usually there's pages on Halloween, because there's always a lot of pictures from Halloween of the costumes.
Christmas.
There's pictures of Christmas, and then any vacations we did. And then if something big happened, if a sibling or someone graduated from something or got married, usually those pages are in there. So that one is our more overall book. And then I don't know, you guys have probably heard about chapbooks. I'm kind of obsessed.
Well, before we go to chapbooks, what service do you use to make your photo books?
Oh, so these ones, all of these I've made with Shutterfly, which Shutterfly I think is the easiest software to use. They have, what I really like is they have a program where you can pull it up and you can see every page, and you can just click and drag your pictures onto the pages and then it will kind of create the book for you. So these are all just hardcover 8x8 books with Shutterfly. Which has worked really well for us. I know some people really like the bigger books. I have stuck with the 8x8 books because Shutterfly tends to put out free book codes often. So usually you just have to, the book is free, you just have to pay shipping. I don't think I've paid more than $8 for any of these books.
That's pretty cool. And one thing that also is they have a base price for these books. I can't remember, it changes over time.
I think it's $29.99 if you pay for the book.
Yes, and that's for a certain number of pages. But if you want to add more pages to that, it's like $1 a page after that or something. So it's really affordable to add more pages to your book and make it as big or as small as you want. But it's worthwhile to do it, even though like you'll have the digital backups. It's for your kids especially to look through. Like our daughters, they're not going to get on our phones and look through that many pictures, mostly because we don't want them on our phones that much. So instead, they can come over to the bookshelf at any time, pull down these albums, And they love doing it. We catch them looking through these all the time.
Well, and it's always so funny to me because our girls are actually quite far apart in age. We have an 8-year-old who's almost 9, and then we have a 3-year-old. And the 3-year-old always gets so upset that there's so many books with Sophie in it and not as many books with Haley in it. And it's just like, honey, you haven't been alive as long. It's not a favoritism issue. So that's what we do for like our overall year. But what we do for our day-to-day is we do chapbooks. So you've probably heard about chapbooks. They had that viral commercial a little while back that still cracks me up every time I watch it. But this is actually, so this is volume 1 through 14 of our books. I have
She has a problem.
80 volumes. There's 80 volumes downstairs. But what I love about this is that they're really affordable. I mean, they're just paperback. But they're, I think they're like $8 each. I was grandfathered in when they were cheaper, so I think mine are $6 each. But what I love is I feel like I can put all of the information in. I can put all of the pictures in because they're really affordable, and it pulls just from Instagram. So for me, I'm a blogger. I have my public blog Instagram. But I want to be able to put all of those little moments in. So I have a small private Instagram that I feed all of these moments into, and then every 60 photos, it automatically prints the book and ships it to me. So like.
And can't you set it up so it can pull from more than one Instagram account?
Yeah. So for our family books, it pulls from my blog Instagram, it pulls from my private Instagram, and also pulls from your Instagram. So, which is always funny because it doesn't label which Instagram it pulls from, and he doesn't post often, like once a month. So every now and then you get this photo that's in a completely different voice than all the other photos. But
and I mostly just post pictures of weird things.
So like for instance, things that I wouldn't want to post, like there's an ugly picture of cheesecake. Like I don't even remember why that was important at the time, but my kids love these books. They sit and read them all the time, and so it's really fun to like pictures of my daughter being silly, and I can write detailed captions of what she was like at that age and things that she said. So and it's just so much cheaper than other photo books. So this is definitely how we do honestly, this is like my journal. This is kind of, not like deep dark secrets kind of journal, but like the day-to-day, like I feel like this is a good representation of my kids' childhood, that one day they'll be able to look back. Hey, look, it's when you burned your tie. Like that. Like I would never have remembered that he burned his tie, like until I looked at the picture. So I feel like this is such a good way to remember the little things. So that's what we use that for. And yeah, like I said, I have 80.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. But I love that. I'll be like, I looked at the credit card statement this month, and I'd be like, oh yeah?
And half of it.
It's like, it goes, chapbooks, Amazon, chapbooks, yeah, I have problems, guys. Someone's sending angry faces? Oh dear, sad day. Hi Lorraine, good to see you with us. So we've just talked about our Shutterfly books, which we use for our overall year, our chapbooks, which we use for day-to-day, and Google Photos is how we back up our photos on, he does it on a weekly basis. So, do you want to talk about another app, or you want to talk about another app?
Yeah, so these methods that we talked about so far are great for pictures that you have already on hand because they're digitized because you took them with your camera. But what about preserving memories that happened before the hardcore digital age? My guess is around your house you have pictures that were printed. They're maybe on the wall, maybe they're already in printed books, but you don't have a digital copy of it. To me, that's really frustrating because that's your one and only place that you have it. What if something happens to that book or that picture? What if, heaven forbid, there was a fire and you lost all that stuff? That'd be a bigger tragedy than just the fire itself because those memories are gone now. But thankfully, again, with digital technology, we can preserve all those things. So one of the apps I love with that is, again, another Google app called PhotoScan. It's available on Android and iOS. It's free.
I don't think I knew that it was a Google app.
Yep. And it's a piece of cake to use. So what it does is you basically, let's say you have a picture in a book. It's a photo album. And this is really good, especially for your older family history type stuff that maybe you want to preserve. So you can open up your photo book, you lay it out as flat as you can, try to avoid any glare from any lighting. But you pull the app out and you hover it over and it will have a little view screen. And as soon as it recognizes the boundaries, and it's smart, it'll recognize the boundaries of it, it'll take one picture, and then it'll show 4 little blue dots. And what you do is you move to hover your phone over the blue dots, and then it'll show a little progress circle around the blue dot, and then it'll tell you, okay, go find the next blue dot. And you do it until you get all the blue dots. And what it does is it creates a composite image of all those multiple images you created into one image. And then it's digitized for you. And what it does from there is it syncs it right into your Google Photos app, which we were just talking about. So then it's part of your digital library. And it's really cool. It does a really good job. The only times I've noticed that it struggles is if your book has a lot of curvature to it. So the flatter you can lay it, the better. And if you do all that and it still doesn't look quite right, it has an edit mode that you can go in and you can manually adjust the corners. So for instance, if it spills off a little and it's catching maybe the corner of your book or your table or something, you can go in and swing it back so it gets just the right proportions. And it does a very good size. It's a lot easier to use than a typical flatbed scanner, which those are kind of seeming to go out of style right now. You don't see as many of them.
Well, and do you remember, so when I was pregnant with our first daughter, we had about like a 3-month period where I didn't have a job and I was bored. So I took all of the pictures from my childhood and along with my little brother, he was my little partner in crime that summer, we scanned all of them.
Hundreds of pictures.
I mean, it was hundreds. I think it came down to, it's like 10,000 pictures, but it took us 3 months to scan those. Like 3 full months of everyday working.
And it was tedious because you'd have to lay them into the scanner bed. I think you could probably get like 4 or 5 at a time. Scan it. It took forever for it to scan. And I think we had a good enough software that it would automatically detect the individual pictures and save them out. But not all scanners are like that. With this app, it's just right there. You can just do it quick with your phone. It automatically sends it to where you want. You don't have to deal with the hassle.
Well, and I think the worst part of scanning everything is that there's always like, no matter how well you clean your scanner, there's dust and little particles and things on that. So then I spent hours and hours and hours photoshopping little dust particles off every photo. And that, I mean, it got to the point where I didn't ever finish because there were so many photos to take dust particles off of.
Yeah. So if you have a really good phone, if you have one of the higher end phones like an iPhone or you have a Galaxy or, there's a bunch of other great phones that have good cameras, it'll do really well for you. It'll take a high enough resolution that if you wanted to print it again at some point, you could. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a high enough resolution that you're going to be able to do something large, like a 20 by 30 on your wall. But for preserving the memories and getting them digitized, PhotoScan is a great app. So give it a whirl.
So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about like our special events memories, that like ways we've preserved those. So we have 2 main ways that we've preserved things from like vacations. Well, I guess for Disney there's a third, but so one of the biggest things that I did is I have made these boxes for each of our vacations. So it started with our New York. We took a vacation to New York. It's probably 4 years ago now, right? Mm-hmm. And it started with this one because if you open this up, I was like, I have. We went to see Cinderella and our Metro cards, and like we had things that were hard to, I didn't know what to do with, and I didn't want to throw away. I didn't want to throw away our Broadway tickets, and I didn't want to throw away. We went when the Met still had the little metal buttons, and I didn't want to throw away the buttons and everything. But what do I do with them? Like I can't really fit them into a photo album. So I found these boxes. I actually got these at Michael's, which I have to remember because every single time I want to make a new one, I have to go to all 3 of the major craft stores trying to figure out which one had the flat boxes. For this one, I Mod Podge. I painted it gray, and then I Mod Podged a couple of photos on the front of it. So you can see that's my husband and I at the Met, and that's my mom and I in Times Square. Actually, he was at a conference all day, so my mom came with me and we would play all day, and then he would come with me out at night. So it was actually a really fun trip. So that's got all of that in it, and then other things this is from our Disney vacation 2 years ago, and so it's got park maps and.
Painted itself shut.
I might have painted it shut. I know. It's the kids play with them all. The kids love them. So there we go. So this one has park maps, and guys. This is the hand soap from the Luxor in Las Vegas because it's a pyramid and it's amazing. So that's in the box. And every single time, oh, don't show Haley. We have a kid who loves soaps. She'll
Weird.
steal my soap. Like their buttons and, you know, things like that. Things that just don't fit in a photo album. So that's pretty much what we do for vacation. So I've done 4 of these, starting with our, and then I labeled them. They sit on a shelf, and I've labeled them so you can easily pull them out. So there's New York.
You're labeling with your Cricut, right?
Yeah, and that's what I used to
Just
do.
vinyl.
Yeah, these are just vinyl decals. So we went to Seattle this summer, so this is this summer's trip. And then last summer we did Harry Potter World and Disneyland. But I didn't want to do Mickey's again. I wanted to differentiate, make sure that the boxes were different. So I focused on the Harry Potter for that one. But
one nice thing about this style is because they're so small, I mean, you can see that it's not taking up, that's maybe what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches at most. It doesn't take up a lot of room, so you can easily stack these up, and it preserves your memories really well without taking up a ton of space. So I like that feature, because a lot of times when you preserve something, you put it in a hope chest, and that's great, except hope chests are huge, and you have to dig through everything to find the one piece that you want. These kind of act like books when they're stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's what I want. Pull it out, and you're good to go.
well, and they are big enough that like this one I think has shelves in it, and like, you know, some other things like that. So you can, you know, it's not limiting you to flat things. You can definitely keep other things, but it's still not taking up a lot of space. So the other thing that, and I have linked to how to create those boxes up in the description. I've linked to the New York one, but I've actually done posts for all 4. So another thing that I created a while back that has actually gotten a ton of views. When I made it, like, I think we kind of thought it was silly, and I was like, no, I think we'll use it, and we actually really have. It's this ticket stub holder. So this is actually made out of a Melissa and Doug toy container. Like, I don't know if you've seen like Melissa and Doug toys. They come in those wood boxes with the plastic in the front. That's what this is made out of. So I just painted it black, and we just slide tickets in, and like, it's so much fun to like be able to look. You can see like there's tickets to baseball games and tickets to, he went to the NCAA tournament this year, so those tickets are in there, and my, you know, my wristbands from Comic-Con, and like Monster Jam and Disney on Ice, and like if you go through, like, you can see we saw Moana, like, you know, so like it's just like a lot of little I don't know, I've always loved to save movie stubs and ticket stubs, and it was just a way to keep them all together, and it's kind of fun to go back and through them now and see you know, football games and other things like that that we have been to together. So
And it serves as a nice decorative piece of wood. You're not trying to look through them anyway. You just can kind of stand up, and it looks nice.
sometimes I think I should go through them and put some of the bigger ones at the, you can see that, like, originally there's this cute, oh look, the fairy tale tea party. I forgot about that. Huh, my ticket to Twilight. Should burn that one.
Wow, that was a definite worth.
Ooh, which Harry Potter movie is this? I don't know. See, what's not Harry Potter? You can see, like, I decoupaged cute paper, and there's stickers on the very back, but it has become so full over the years. This is probably, what, 10 years worth of movie stubs and ticket stubs and things like that. It's kind of fun. I keep looking. I gotta stop looking. Now I'm going down memory lane. But, so all of the movies and things like that we have seen together, so. And it's just fun. It's fun to keep that little, you know, that memory of something that was obviously important enough that you wanted to spend the money to go. So, now I gotta see if I can get them all back in there. Okay.
True test.
The true test. See, and that just slides back on like that. So I know some people have created them with like shadow boxes, or I know that they make like ticket boxes that have like a little hole in the top that you can slide things in. But seriously, like, see, it's Melissa and like magnetic wooden alphabet became our ticket box. So.
Because why not?
Because why not, right? Do you have any other apps you want to talk about?
Yeah, so one more app. So we've already talked about Google Photos. We've talked about Google Photo Scan. What about your kids' pictures? So Deborah mentioned that earlier. Your kids color a bajillion pictures, and they want them to proudly be displayed. There's only so much fridge space, and there's no space on our fridge because it's taken up by picture magnets. But
I think it's finally full.
yeah, it's full. So what do you do with all those pictures? Well, you can try to be nice to your kids and stick them all in a folder, and then that's fine until you're moving, and then you have to move boxes of drawings of your kids that, let's be honest, they all kind of look the same, but you're trying to be a good parent, right? So why not digitize them? Then you have them preserved. They're easy to access if your kids want to know, and heck, you can even placate your kids by turning that into the background as your background image on your computer, and it makes their day. I know our daughter loves it when we do that. So how do you digitize them in an easy way? Well, of course, you can always take your camera and do that, but the problem with taking it with your phone's camera is you get all the background that you didn't want in there. And so then you can go into a photo editing app and you can try to crop it. It's too much of a hassle. You want a tool that can do all that for you. So Google Photo Scan is a possibility you could use. But another one that I like is Office Lens. So this is a Microsoft product, and it's available again for iOS or Android for free. And what it does is it lets you take a picture and digitally scan whatever image you want. So if your kid has drawn something, you can have that piece of paper, and it works really well if you put it contrasted well. So if you have like a white piece of paper that was drawn on and you put it on a black or a brown tabletop, that provides enough contrast for it to pick it up really well. So you just hold your phone over it and take the picture essentially. And then what it will do is it will do its best to automatically detect the edges. And like the photo scan app, if it doesn't do it quite right, you can manually adjust until you get it how you want it. And then from there, you can decide what you want to do with it. And it has a lot of export features. So you can send it to your OneDrive account. You can email it. You can turn it into a PDF. You could send it to OneNote. Whatever you want to do with it, it's now digitized. And that saves a lot of hassle for you. Now, of course, figure out where you're going to store it then. But, you know, with a OneDrive account, which is free, you get a certain amount of gigs of storage. And so that works really well for that. So that's what we started doing with our daughter's stuff, is taking pictures of that. Same with like a spelling test that she does really well on and she's really proud of. We can take a picture of that. And over time, as they get older, they're going to forget about it and you're going to forget about it too. But now you don't have to move all the stuff physically with you.
And I still do have a folder of my favorites. Like, you know, sometimes your kids draw something and they bring it to you and you know just like that you are going to love that piece of art forever. Like, we have one, when our 8-year-old was like 3, she really wanted Stompies for Christmas, and she drew a picture of alligator Stompies, and I still love that picture. I've got that in a folder. So, but now I feel like I can keep my very favorite things forever and not have to worry about everything. So, so this next one is kind of a bigger thing that we have done. So this is something that my mother-in-law helped me do because I'm not much of a quilter. I've made a few quilts and I've cursed the whole time. So this, for us, I almost wish we had waited longer to do it, but this we made after my husband and I had been married a couple of years for all the t-shirts that we weren't wearing anymore. So this is, for most of this is my high school, his high school, and then our first 4 years of college. Like if you look up here, I'm trying to see where you guys can see. Like up here, this is the newspaper that we both worked for in college. So there's a shirt that we used to wear from that. And then, you know, there's just other shirts that we wore all the time. So what she helped me do is we sliced every single shirt, and then we, this is from when my husband lived in California for a couple years and stuff. So we sliced the shirt and then we adhered it to another piece of cotton, and then we stitched them all together and made a big quilt out of it. So I know his sister, my husband's sister, was a track star in high school. So his mom made her one that has all of her track shirts and stuff on it. Then she made one for my mom that has all of the shirts of all the things that when we were kids we did. You know, my sister was in drama and I was in band and, you know, everything like that. So my mom has a big quilt on her bed that's all of those shirts that she used to wear to all of our things. So, and for me, like right now, our girls play soccer. I don't know if they will always play soccer or play it till high school or what, but for right now I'm saving their jerseys. So maybe one day, if they do continue to play, we can make them a big jersey quilt. So.
And having your t-shirts into one quilt is a lot easier than moving around all these old t-shirts that you don't wear anymore that take up a lot of space. And plus, you use that quilt. I mean, it's a pretty comfy quilt.
Well, and there are a few on there that like he would put on still when we've been married 2 or 3 years, and I'd like, dude, honey, you cannot wear that shirt anymore. Like, it is threadbare. I know you love it, but no, like, and so it gave us a place for those memories and those shirts without having to get rid of them. So I think that actually made it easier. Our t-shirt drawers were pretty empty right after we made that quilt. And I talked him out of a couple of shirts. I was like, no, you don't need that one anymore. It always looks so good in the quilt. So I kind of wish, and sometimes now, I don't know, maybe sometime in the future we'll need to make another quilt because we just have so many new, I mean, you just always keep getting t-shirts and things like that. And he worked for a hospital for a while and they were like giving him t-shirts like candy. So he's got a bunch, but so do you want to talk about any of the ones over there?
Yeah. So one thing we do for our daughters is we create a collage photo of their first year of life. So every month, Deborah takes a picture of the girl, and then we put it all together into this final collage. And we choose for the biggest image in the middle our favorite picture from that for that first year of life.
So they're different. They're not the same month. So this one, I think she is, I don't want to say, in this one, I think she's 6 months old in the middle, but in our other daughter's collage, she's 9 months old in the middle. It's just we pick which one we feel represents her, has a really cute smile, and just that we really like of our little girl at that time.
Yep. And then we put their name down here in the bottom corner. So this is Haley's. And so it's pretty easy to do. I used Adobe Illustrator to do this. I'm sure there's other photo apps out there that would let you do the same thing, but Illustrator InDesign was an easy thing because all I had to do was just create the different frames, drop the photos inside them, and scale them up or down to the size I needed, and then export it as an image that I could then order on whatever photos or whatever printing service that you wanted. And so I think this is 16 by 20. It's really inexpensive to create it, and it hangs on our wall. So it's a really fun thing to see the pictures of both of our daughters hanging on the wall.
Well, and you'll notice that there's 12 even around here, and then there's one in the middle. So these are actually, so this is newborn, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, I mean, I know a lot of people like to put the 12-month in the middle. We just picked our favorite. But so that's the way you get 12 around here is you start with their newborn photo.
So kind of fun.
And then you want to grab the memory thing. So this is a fun thing that I created for our younger daughter for Christmas last year. It's actually, so it's from Shutterfly, and it's actually a memory game. You can lay it out like that and, play. But it's got, on the other side, it's got pictures. So, and for us, one of the really good things about this is all of my husband's family lives within like two hours. But my family, I have a brother in Maryland, a sister in Iowa, a brother in Seattle, like they're everywhere. And it's kind of hard for a little one to get to know family that's not close. So this was an excellent way. You can see there's 2 of each one. This was an excellent way for her to get to know all of her family members. Like there's I was going to say Aunt Matt and Uncle Malia. Aunt Malia and Uncle Matt. There we go. And on one, that's actually their engagement photo. And then we've got, there's a different family on one. And, so it's a good way. Like there's her Aunt Janet and Uncle Nick and all 5 of their boys and their dog Sadie. So it's a good way for them to get to know all of these faces and get to know all of these names and things like that. And it's it's a fun way to do that. So there's, and this is one you just tell it, with Shutterfly you just tell it what photos you want. You pick 12 photos, I think, maybe. And we didn't have quite enough photos. I mean, because he's got 3 siblings and I've got 5. So I mean, and then grandparents. So we've got quite a few, but we didn't have quite enough. So then the other ones I just put pictures of my girls together. So just fun other things like that. So let's talk about the canvas here. So I know everybody has seen canvas prints. They're nice and they're big and they're they're cute and they're huge. But one of the big things, I don't know if you've ever made a canvas print with a company, if you want to do a multi-image, they usually charge you more, which is a bummer. So what I always do is I will find a grouping, like for this, like you can see with this image, my girls are all dressed like princesses in different ones of them. You can see this is one of my favorites. This is my daughter, I think 2 days old, dressed like Snow White. And then
she likes to torment them young.
Yeah, she's all like less than a week old, and this is my favorite though. She's dressed like Jasmine in this photo, and I was so excited about it. She's so cute, dressed in this little purple Jasmine costume, and showed it to my husband, and he's like, "You hoochied the baby." So yeah, so this is all my girls dressed like princesses. So you can grab. I think I made this just in like Picasa, which I don't. Can you even download Picasa anymore?
No.
So
there's tons of
PicMonkey. Do they do collages?
Yeah, there's tons of collage sites out there. So all you have to do is just figure out what type of layout you want, what size you want it to be, and then drop all your pictures in there, and then download it as one big picture, and then send that one big picture off to be printed.
Yeah, so that's how you save the money. And you don't do the multi-image through the canvas company. You create the multi-image, save it as one image, and then upload it, and then they'll just count it as one image. So, and that's one of the big ways that I love. Like, I mean, you can see that I spent some of these are, even my oldest daughter, really little. So this is like 5 years in the making of dressing my girls up like princesses. If you follow my Instagram, I dress my kids up a lot. They like it though.
But they naturally dress themselves up a lot, so they don't care.
Yeah, they think it's really fun. So, but anyway. So just a couple of other little things, and then we'll let you guys go. Will you grab this statue for me? So this is something that I just barely got into the last couple of weeks, and this is actually my second attempt. I get a little better every single time. So you can buy molding material and plaster of Paris just at a craft store. You set up the molding material, and like I use like a sand pail, like a bucket from the dollar store. Kids stick their hands in it, and then you pull them out after about a minute, and then you pour the plaster in, and you end up with this lovely mold of their hands. This is my two kids, and they're holding hands like this, so you can see their fingers intertwined. They call it their hand statue, and they're absolutely delighted by it. So, you know, it's not perfect. It's not, I think, as good as if someone professional had done it, but, you know, it's my second attempt. So, it's not, if you buy the kits online on like Amazon, they're like 60 or 80 bucks. They're really expensive. But if you go to Hobby Lobby, you can get, if you go to like it's usually like the candle aisle, or, yeah, usually like around candle stuff. You can get the bag of molding material for about 10 bucks, and then a thing of plaster of Paris for like 6, and that will make many statues. So you can do it for cheap and just keep doing it until you get one that you like. The first one that I did that we love is my daughter was wearing a ring, and you can see the little, the ring had little letters on it, and you can see the little CTR on the ring on the statue. So that's one way that I've loved to, you know, I love seeing their little hands. When our girls are newborn, I take them actually to a professional because I don't want them messed up when their hands are so little, and they're never going to be that little again. But we have their hands and their foot done, and then they actually like in clay, and then actually fired and stuff like that. And that's something that I've really loved, to have their little handprint and their little footprint when they're like 2 months old, immortalized forever. So, but, yeah.
So we've shown a lot of examples of visual memories and even physical memories. One type of memory that's hard to preserve is your written memory, your journal. I think most people are pretty bad at journaling. I include myself in that. I count myself lucky if I can get in 1 entry a month, and it's mostly just a quick catch-up. But journaling can be tough. I hate writing journal by hand, and so I do it digitally. So I just have a Google Doc that I keep running for the year. Each year has its own file, and I write in that. And that's great and all, but what about when you actually want to go back and read it? You have to open up that file. It takes a long time for those files to load just because of the way they're built. And so you might want something that's a little more effective with that. So what about creating your own ebook? And you might be thinking, I don't even know how to create an ebook. Well, it's actually really easy. There's a free app out there. This is for your computer. It's called Sigil, S-I-G-I-L. And
that's the program you put on my computer. I keep deleting the shortcut to it on my desktop because I didn't know what it was.
So it's super easy to use. You basically open it up, and it looks like a really stripped down version of Word. And so you can copy and paste that text of your journal in there, and then just tell it, create the ebook. And it will do that. It'll turn it into different formats that you can choose. So the default's called an EPUB. And so if you're an iPhone user, that's what your iBooks app will open up automatically. But if you're not an iPhone user, chances are you're going to need a different format, which is Mobi format is another common one. That's what your Kindle app will use, for instance, whether on iPhone or on Android. And so you can just easily export it into different formats, and then you can send it to your phone, and then it's right there on your phone. So the advantage to an ebook over a typical Word file or whatever is it's a lot faster to load, and it's built to be viewed on a mobile device. And so in today's world where you are so mobile with everything, you can have that really easily. So that's what I do is I create all my journals into these formats, and I save them onto my Box account. You can do it with Dropbox or OneNote or OneDrive or whatever you want to do. And then it's just always there with you if you ever need to reference it.
But it's so fun about, he's talking about having the ebooks and things like that. Like I talked earlier about how I journal through Chatbooks. I journal through a private Instagram account, which works really well for me. And then he journals and makes these ebooks. And I feel like between the two of us, like our kids are really going to be able to he's a lot more factual, and his dad journaled that way a lot too. And it's really been interesting, when you need a piece of information, like when did this happen? He'll be like, give me a minute, and he'll be able to find that information for you. And I've always loved that he's been so good about, although when we were first married, he was spending a long time catching up. I remember he would come and ask your mom questions about dates and things like that. But I really feel like between the two, like he's got a very factual history, and his emotions are definitely there, like his feelings about things that happened and stuff like that. And then mine's a very visual history of things that have happened. And between the two, I think our kids are almost going to be overwhelmed with their family history when they get older and they're wanting to know this information and stuff. But I think it's better to have them be overwhelmed than have them, I look back on my grandmother actually lived through the Nazi occupation of Norway, and we have like 4 or 5 pages that she wrote about different things that happened to them and things like that, but we're just missing so much. I would love to have more of that, so I hope our kids never feel that way, that they want more of the memories and things like that.
I don't know how they could. There's so much for them to
I know, right? Like I said, there's 80 Chatbooks downstairs. But that's only 2012. Imagine if I had started Chatbooks in 2006 when we got married.
Oh dear.
Well, thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will try and get back on and answer them. We are glad you hung out with us on your Labor Day, and we will see you later.
Perfect timing.